Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'll be playing a solo game of Voidfall. In this video, I'll be playing the scenario When Darkness Fades, and I'm going to play as House Nervo. Let's get rolling. Alright, so I'm set up now to play a solo game of Voidfall. I'm using House Nervo with Origin A, which starts us with the Robotics technology. So I've got that here. So when I play a development focus, I can double the cost and effect of one of the focus actions. So that's one of my favorite techs in the game. And I am mostly set up as the green player, but I have replaced my fleet power cubes with uranium from Anachrony. These are the metal uranium cubes. So I've got the right number of them, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to play with those. So I've got these metal cubes. Since they're the same size, why not use them? And I am playing on the hard difficulty today because I just thought I should do that at least once on this channel. I do it from time to time when the mood strikes me, but mostly I like to play most of my games on like a medium difficulty. I'm just sort of a casual gamer. I don't get too intense, I don't think, but I do enjoy the puzzly aspect. So a couple of notes before we get started. As usual, there are chapter markers, so feel free to jump to where you want if you want to get to a specific spot. Secondly, of course, there are a bunch of components that you might see that you don't have. I know I say this in every Voidfall video, but I've got a Etsy store that I co-own with some friends, and so you'll see a lot of those components in this video, mostly tokens. So fleet tokens, the glory tokens, installations and guilds, the reclaim and bounty tokens. These are blanks on the back, and we use a drawbag system. So that's all on the board, plus the tech tray and the agenda tray. So you can find a link in the description to Brain Bucket Games at Etsy, and you can grab some of that stuff if you're interested. Beyond that, if you're new here and new to my Voidfall playthroughs, welcome. I would just want to let you know up front that I don't claim to be an expert, although I play a lot of this game, and especially on solo. And I think I've got the rules down pretty good, but the way this usually goes is I play the game, and then I go to edit the video, and I find all the places where I broke the rules on accident, and then I put some text on the screen to let you know. And then like a couple months later, somebody else will pop up in the comments and say, oh, you missed one other thing. So just be aware of that. I might make some mistakes, and I apologize in advance if I do. But hey, I'm playing for fun here. So with that out of the way, this is a pretty interesting map because this is the only one that doesn't have any rifts on it. So Nervo is a good house for this one, in my opinion, because it tends to be a more economic focused map, and I'm more comfortable with economic focused strategies generally, and so I think this map provides a good opportunity to use some of those abilities. So my level 0 crisis starting cards here. On my military track, I need to gain the improved version of my starting technology, and on my economic track, I need to have 20 or more total combined production yield across all of my resources. And House Nervo's special ability is that anytime except for upkeep, I can use materials in place of food or energy. My preferred focuses are production and prosperity. And then I have two special focus cards, replacement production, which is a really cool card because it has an advancement for each of these tracks, as well as production for food, materials, and energy. And then uplift, which replaces conquest, so I don't have a conquest focus. And of course, my innovation focus card is off to the side at the start of the game for cycle 1. The 3 heroic focus cards for cycle 1 are heroic reinforcement, heroic progress, and heroic prosperity. I think it's also worth pointing out that there are Harbinger, Harbinger, Harbinger in each of those sectors. This sector has 2 Harbingers, so that's a little bit unusual, but kind of neat. And then in terms of technologies, I drew houses Fenrax, Novaris, Valnus, and Xenor. Which is a pretty cool combination. And the fallen house up here is Fenrax. So I think that's probably enough preamble. Let's get started in the first cycle here. And I need to reveal the Galactic Event. So we have Glorious Ascension. So there's 5 turns in this first cycle, and I need to add a reclaim token and a sector defense to 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. So I think I'll do that here. So 2 reclaim tokens there and 2 sector defenses. And then I can either improve 1 glory token value and activate a fleet power, or I can advance 1 track. And I think I'd like to advance a track, and I'm going to advance the statecraft track. Reason being is because the bonus is to build an installation and activate a fleet power, which is really the most important part of the other alternative. I didn't really care about upgrading the glory token that much, but activating the fleet power sounded nice. So if I can do that by advancing a track anyway, I might as well do that. So I'll advance the statecraft track, activate a uranium fleet power cube, and then I can build an installation. And I'm going to build a shipyard here. I intend to build a lot of installations this game, so I might as well start with the shipyard. I can put the sector defenses later. I'm sure those will come naturally. But on my starting agenda here, I score points for each peer sector where there are no empty guild spots, and then each peer sector that has 3 or more installations, and then each of my peer tracks for however far they advance. And then, sorry, one other quick note before I get going. I've got the baby monitor over here. It's nighttime, so hopefully that'll be quiet. Hopefully the kids will be sleeping silently. But if you hear any unusual board game noises, that's where they're coming from. I apologize for that in advance. So let's start by revealing the first alert card. And it is a 2, so let's draw from that number 2 crisis deck. And we have progress by the shadow. So advance a track while that track is already corrupted, or the immediate penalty is to pay 4 resources of any kind. So let's put that active one here. Get rid of this. And I'm not sure how or when I'm going to deal with that. But I'm going to start out by playing Temptation Focus, which kind of feels like a pretty ballsy start. But for my first action, I'll take a action from a preferred focus, and I'm going to choose Prosperity. So for my Prosperity card, I'm going to take this last action, which is Organize. So I deactivate 1 fleet power, and I must spend an energy and a materials. So let's do that. Go from 2 energy down to 1, and from 4 materials down to 3. And now I can build an installation and I gain an agenda card. So let's start with the installation, and let's go ahead and get a sector defense down here. I think that's a good idea. And as for the agenda card, I think I'm going to take this first support card here that's face up. This is Hazard Control Institute. So it gives you 7 influence if you have at least 1 corrupted agenda slot, which I don't know if I love that, but then a multiplier of 4 influence for every peer sector with 3 or more guilds. And just like the installations, I intend on having a lot of guilds, so that could potentially score a lot. So we'll reveal the next support agenda. There we go. And I'll put this over here by my starting technology, improved technology. This is just in my hand. I can use it when the opportunity arises. So this was my first action off Temptation, was playing a preferred focus action. And then I'll take this second action on Temptation, Conspire. So that requires that I gain a corruption. And I think I'm going to put that on my society track here. So that gives me a track that I could advance for this first crisis card later. And in theory, I could just advance that track now, but instead I'm going to advance my econ track. So I'm going to gain a guild, and I think I'm going to put another miners guild there. So now my level goes up by 2 from 4 to 6, which brings my yield up to 4 on materials. And then I also get to perform the Galactic Peak action. So let's take a look at the next 2 Cycle 2 Galactic Events. We have Rally the Guilds and All Out Armament. So either way, it's going to be 5 turns the second cycle. I like on Rally the Guilds this effect that if you have 6 or more pure guilds, then you can gain a trade token, because I expect I'll probably achieve that. But I don't like this so much. I really want to advance a track. I like that bonus, but in order to advance it, you have to have your preferred focus cards in your hand still. And I really think I want to play production. And then again, if I play production and I use that trade token, I could advance 3 tracks. I can advance all my tracks once. So maybe that's a fair trade-off. I would just have to try and keep my corruption down to get influence that way. Yeah, my first instinct was that I would go with all-out armament, but I think I'll stick with Rally the Guilds. Interesting. Okay. So that's it for Temptation Focus. I am not going to pay this penalty. I think I can make this happen at some point. I'm going to put this on the economic track where it must go. Oh, but what am I doing? I've got to slide that one down, put this here. That makes more sense. There we go. Okay, so let's draw the next alert card for the second turn. We have Oh, we have the war card already. I guess that's a good thing maybe. So we're in cycle 1, so we're going to resolve the crisis board at the end of this turn, and then if we successfully defend the skirmish, we gain a bounty token. So that's not too bad. It's better than getting it later, I guess. So what am I going to do now? I think I'm going to play Reinforcement. And there's a heroic reinforcement available, but I'm going to stick with this one. So I'm going to start with this top action, Accelerate, which has a cost of... Oh, before I do that, I'm also pairing the agenda with Reinforcement. That was pretty important. Let's take the agenda action first to activate 1 fleet power, and I can build an installation. And with this war card afoot, I think I'm going to do another sector defense right here. That's probably a good idea. So now I'll take this top action, which has a cost of deactivate a fleet power, and I could advance any 1 track and then build a sector defense. So I don't have anywhere to build the sector defense anymore, but I'll advance a track, and I will do the econ track, and that gains me a trade token, which also gains me a bounty token. There we go. So let's draw a bounty token from the bag. So again, this is from my Etsy store. It's got all the original cardboard tokens in here, and you just pick one at random, makes setup easier. There we go. So I'm going to take the resources. It's 1 material and 1 science. So material goes up to 4, science goes up to 3. And then I will take the muster action, which costs 2 materials. I think I'm going to use 2 credits, go from 5 down to 3. And I can deploy 1 fleet power to each shipyard. And I have 2 shipyards, so I'll deploy 2 fleet power, 1 here and 1 there in the home sector. And then that was 2 actions plus the agenda. So I'm going to slot the agenda now into that open slot there. And now we have to resolve this war card. So first I have to skirmish. So I have 1, 2 corruption on my house mat plus a modifier here of 3. And the only valid target is going to be my outpost because the Voidborn can't invade my home sector and I don't have any other sectors. So if the Voidborn invade this sector with 3 fleet power, they're going to lose 2 on the way into the sector defense. And then I'll have the initiative 3-1, so I'll fire first, and they will have no initiative left to return fire. So I win the skirmish without losing anything, and then I get to gain a bounty token. So that's nice. Let's get one of these. And that is 1 food and 1 energy. I think we're still certainly early enough in the game that I don't want the 1 influence. So I go from 4 to 5 food and 1 to 2 energy. Put that here. And now I need to resolve the economic track. So 1 material, 1 energy, and 1 science. Okay, so 1 material goes from 4 to 3, energy goes from 2 to 1, and science goes from 3 to 2. And that is 1 war card out of the game. So let's go to the next turn by revealing the alert card. And it's a level 2 alert. And our level 2 crisis is another economic crisis, disharmony and leadership. When you play an agenda card, choose to forfeit taking its action. Don't love that. And then the immediate penalty is to skirmish. And that's not so bad. Since we just skirmished, we know that that'll go well. So if I don't change anything on the map, then I can plan on skirmishing. But we'll see. Maybe I'll change the map. And I was thinking about invading, but now is probably not the time if I'm going to skirmish. So I'm going to play my prosperity card, and I'm going to use heroic prosperity. And I will flip my trade token to take all 3 of these actions. And for my first action, I think I'll take this middle one, which is Revolt. So I have to remove 1 non-home guild as the cost. So I got to get rid of one of these miners guilds. So this level goes back down by 2. So my yield is 4. It goes back down to 3. My level is 4. And now I can gain a trade token. So let's take that, and I will take the 2 resources. I think I'll take 2 food, because my upkeep is going to get pretty high. So I go from 5 food to 7, and then I can also remove a Harbinger. So I think I'll remove this one. That's the sector I think I'm least likely to go to. So this one's gone, so that'll bring the Voidborn score down by 10 at the end of the game. And then for my second action, I'll take this top one, which is called Flourish, and it costs 2 resources. So I think I'm going to spend 2 credits. I go from 3 down to 1, and then I can gain 4 resources of any type. And I think I'm going to gain 2 food to get me up to 9. Maybe another material to get me up to 4, and then a science to get me up to 3. No, I don't need the science actually. I'll take another material. Get me up to 5. And then I can also advance the economic track. So I will do that. And now I can remove a corruption. And I still might want to advance this track while it's corrupted to get rid of that crisis. So I'm going to remove this one off of the agenda slot. And then finally, I'll take this bottom action, which has no cost, and I can either build an installation or gain an agenda card. And I'm definitely gaining an agenda. And I think I'm going to go with the might agenda, but not the one that's on top. So let's look at the next two. 1, 2. And we have research archives and safeguard policy. And I think I'm going to keep research archives because it's got this multiplier, which is a pretty big one. For every peer sector you have with 3 or more installations, you get 6 influence. And I've already got that same criteria on my starting agenda, which gives me 2. So that means for each sector I have with 3 or more installations, if it's a peer sector like this one, I'll get 8 influence each. That's a huge multiplier. So that seems worth having. So I'm going to put that in my hand. This goes to the bottom of the stack. And that was all 3 actions. So I'm returning the trade token that I spent to the Galactic board. We'll just discard the Heroic Prosperity. I've got the regular one here. And then I need to either take a catastrophe, put this on the crisis board, or take the immediate penalty. And I'll take the immediate penalty. And I've got 1 less corruption now. So I've got 1 here and then a +1 modifier. So 2. So if the Voidborn skirmish here, which is the only place they can skirmish, with 2 fleet power, they lose them both on approach, and I win. So that's great. This one goes away. So how many turns was that? 1, 2, 3 turns. Temptation, Reinforcement, Prosperity. Okay, let's draw the next alert card. And it's a 1, level 1 crisis. Okay. And I've got Attrition of War. So after you gain a trade token, choose to also spend 1 credit. Otherwise, remove a guild from a non-home sector. That's not too bad. I can probably swing either of those. And the card I wanted to play, the focus card I wanted to play last turn, but didn't because of the crisis card, I can probably play now and knock that out. Oh, no, I can't because I didn't handle my resources wisely. Okay, we're going to pivot. I am going to play Progress, except I'm going to take the Heroic Progress and pair it with this Agenda. Man, I really wanted to use this agenda ability of raise your lowest track to raise this track to solve this problem, but I think I have to take the trade token now because of my poor resource management. So whoopsie, let's take the trade token. Oop, I'm making a mess. All right, so I've got a trade token, and for the benefit, I'm going to take a bounty token. So we draw 1 from the bag, and we've got, okay, 2 energy or 1 influence. And I think I'll be better off with the 2 energy, so I go from 1 to 3. Okay, totally lost my train of thought. I just took a phone call real quick. So I know I took this action, and I think I need to take 2 actions off of this card. And so I'll take this one first, this middle action. So that's invent. I need to spend 1 food. So I go from 9 down to 8. And I need to deactivate a fleet power. So I have no active fleet power. And then I can remove a corruption, which I guess I'll do, but that's going to make it really hard to do anything about that card now. I kind of messed that up. And then I gain a tech. And I'm way up here on my econ track. I could take improved robotics, and that's pretty tempting, but I think I'm going to start throwing down some guilds, and so I'm going to take cybernetics instead, and I think that'll run my economy a little bit. So first I gain 4 influence for that, which is the first time I've done that this game, so I go from 10 to 14. And when I build a guild, I can gain 2 resources matching that guild type. And the immediate benefit is to build a guild. So I'll build a farmer's guild here. I think it would be a good idea to have at least one of those. So my level goes up to 2. And then I gain, because of cybernetics, 2 food. So I'm up to 10 food. I'm feeling pretty comfortable there. So we can slot this tech now. And for my second action, I'll take this one, which is Experiment, and that allows me to build a Scientist Guild. So I'll do that here, I think. So I can increase that level by 2. And then because of Cybernetics, I gain 2 Science, and I'm up to 4 Science. And it also lets me produce Science, which will be 1 more. So I'm up to 5 Science now. So that's it for my actions. I'm going to slot my agenda and Take the heroic card away. Now I need to deal with this crisis, and I don't really want to get rid of a guild because we're close to the end of the cycle, and I think I could fill that up and score for it, but I don't think I'll be building 2 guilds. So I guess I'm going to make this ongoing, and I'll put it on the economic track again, although I've been doing pretty good militarily. And I have removed a couple corruption. Let's put it on the military track. I think I can make that happen on the next turn. Okay, so let's just double check. That was, yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got one more turn this cycle, and let's reveal the next alert card. And it's a level 2 alert again. And I've got the Secrets of the Novarks, which is a general crisis. After you gain a technology with an influence bonus, choose to also corrupt an agenda slot. Otherwise, corrupt the dominance agenda and lose 1 science resource. That one could go either way. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But for my last turn this cycle, I'm going to play Politics Focus, and I'm going to spend a trade token to take all 3 actions. So the first action I'm going to take is this bottom one, Control, which is going to cost me 1 credit. So I spend 1 credit, I go down to 0, and now I can gain a trade token and move a corruption. I don't have a corruption to move, but I'm going to take this trade token, and the benefit is going to be gain 2 credits. So 1, 2, and I just gained a trade token, and this crisis is after you gain a trade token, choose to spend 1 credit. So I think I can do that right now. I think that's legit because I think choosing your reward, comes at the same time as gaining the trade token. So I'm going with it. I think this is resolved. Slide this down, get rid of this level 1 alert. But if you think that was a bad ruling, just make note of it in the comments. Or you know what? Tell you what, we can retroactively rectify it. This doesn't matter. Just pretend I took this next action before the one I just did. I'll take this one, Inspire. So spend 1 science. So I go from 5 to 4 to advance the statecraft track, and then I can build 1 guild. So I'll build a Bankers Guild right here. So the production level goes up by 2 there, and then because of cybernetics, I gain 2 credits. So had I done that first, I would have had enough credits to spend the credit on this action, gain the trade token, spend another credit before gaining that bonus of 2 more credits. So there you go. I'm all legitimized, at least after the fact. So now let's take this third action, Prevail, and that's going to cost me 2 energy. So I go from 3 to 1 and a credit. So I go from 3 to 2, and then I can improve 1 glory token and then invade, of course, in either order. So my glory tokens are in this neat tray. So I'm going to remove a 2 and replace it with a 3. And that just snaps back on. So don't forget, find that on Etsy. And now I can invade. And you know what? This whole time I was preparing to invade from my home sector, this sector, which I could still do. But I think I can actually take this one, which is a much nicer target. I just move in with these 2, which both get lost to the sector defenses on the way in. But then also 2 more fleet power from here, which gives me the initiative over this one, so I fire first and win. So let's do that. So here, that's the result. So the sector defenses are lost. Voidborn are defeated. I gain a number 3 glory token, and I've got 6 glory, which I can score. So I go from 14 to 20 influence. Thank you very much. And there are 2 reclaim tokens here, which is very nice. So let's get the reclaim draw bag. There we go. Draw 2 tokens out of here. 1, 2. This one's fine. 4 influence, so I go from 20 to 24. I would have liked some buildings. Okay, so this one allows me to build an installation in that sector. And a sector defense sounds just fine to me. So I'll take these, put them down here, and get the blanks out of here. Oh, I guess I've just left this here the whole time. That's okay. And that was all 3 actions on my politics focus. I'm going to return the trade token now to the Galactic board. And I need to do something about this card. And I think I'm going to take the immediate penalty. So I'm going to corrupt the dominance agenda and spend 1 science. So I go from 4 to 3. I just don't want that one to be ongoing. I don't need to be taking more corruption later. So that was now all 5 turns in this cycle. So let's go to part C1 in the evaluation phase. So the first step of the evaluation phase is to resolve the crisis board, and that begins with a skirmish. I have no corruption on my house mat and a modifier of +1 on the crisis board. So the Voidborn are going to skirmish at 1. This is no longer a legal target because it's not adjacent to any Voidborn sectors. So they'll have to skirmish here at 1. They'll lose their fleet power to my sector defense, and I will easily win that skirmish. So now we resolve the economic portion. I need to spend 1 material, 1 energy, and 1 science. So 1 material, we go from 5 to 4. 1 energy, we go from 1 to 0, and 1 science, we go from 3 to 2. So that step is done. The next step is to pay upkeep. I've got a couple of trade tokens down here in my agendas. This agenda is going to be 2 upkeep plus 3, 4, 5. So 5 total upkeep. Not bad. I was thinking it'd be more. So I go from 10 down to 5, and that leaves me with a healthy amount of food remaining. And remember, that's the one time that I cannot use materials as food or energy. So then we check to build any safe havens. I don't have any sectors with 6 population, so that's not going to apply. So we look at the Galactic Event, and I don't have any number 4 glory tokens, so I haven't achieved the bottom part, but this top one I achieved, and that's going to be great. So I have at least 1 pure track that's at tier 1 or higher. I've got this one here, my economic track. Therefore, I can activate 1 fleet power for each pure track that I have. So all my tracks are pure, so I can activate 3 fleet power. That's really helpful. So I've got 5 active fleet power now. It seems like not that long ago I had 0. No, but I suppose I did lose 2 in combat, so not as impressive. But now we're going to score my pure agendas, which is all 3 of these. So my starting agenda scores 3 influence for every pure sector I have with no open guild slots, and I've got 2 of those. So that's going to be 6 influence, which gets me from 24 to 30. And then I gain 2 influence for each pure sector with 3 or more installations. So I've got 1 of those, so that's 2 influence. Same criteria over here for 6 influence. So we'll just combine those into 8. So I go from 30 to 38. And then for each pure track that I have, I multiply its tier by 2. So these are both pure, but they're in tier 0. So no points. This one's in tier 1 and is pure, so that gets me 2 influence. So I go from 38 to 40. Oh man, I'm looking at this one. I realized if I had done these just from top to bottom, I could have optimized a little better for points, but that's okay. So for this one, I would get 7 influence if at least one of these agenda slots was corrupted, but I haven't done that. That's okay. I don't really want to do that. This other one is 4 points or 4 influence for each pure sector with 3 or more guilds. So I've got 1 of those, so that's 4 influence. I'm hoping over time that one will be worth more. And then this one is 8 or 7 influence if I have 8 or more science. I only have 2 science, so I don't get that, and then I've already scored this portion of it. So at the end of cycle 1, I'm at 44 influence. Okay, that's decent. So now I'm going to do the cycle 2 preparation, and you don't have to watch all that, but I'm going to refresh the heroic focus cards. I'm going to take out the next Galactic Event, which we already peaked at. I'll get rid of the tech blocker up there. I'll take my focus cards back and add innovation into the mix, and then I'll update my alert deck, including adding a harbinger to one of these tracks. So stick around and we'll be in cycle 2. Here we go. All right, so I'm back at the beginning of cycle 2. One thing I forgot to mention was that I also removed 1 trade token. So the Galactic Event is already revealed because we had picked that one previously. We knew what it was going to be, but I've not taken the steps yet. So first, we need to add a corruption to one of our pure sectors. So I can't say I'm in love with that. There you go. And then we need to add 1 reclaim token and sector defense to 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. So we've got 3 choices here. I think I'll take the one towards the top. Boy, and I did not think this through. I took this event because of this part. Players with 6 or more pure guilds can gain a trade token, and I was pretty sure I'd do that. I only have 5 guilds, and only 2 of them are pure now that I've added this corruption. So I just get a bounty token. That was not very helpful. So boy, oh boy, this was a mistake. Um, one food and one materials. Okay, so food goes to 6, materials goes to 5. There we go. Yeah, unless I can get my corruption to 1 or less, like I'm definitely playing preferred focus this time. So this galactic event turned out to be a bad choice. But oh well. So let's grab the first alert card, and it is a 3. And I've got a military crisis, slow but steady. After resolving reinforcement focus, have all tracks, pure or corrupted, in tier 1 or higher. I can probably get my tracks up. I'm trying to do that in this particular playthrough, but I don't know if I'm going to play reinforcement this cycle. I don't know if that's in the cards, so to speak. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is to consume 2 basic techs, which is 10 points for the Voidborn at the end. So I'll have to think about that one, but I'm going to start by playing my innovation card, and I'm going to take the heroic innovation, which I didn't mention the heroic cards, but the others are leadership and conquest, and I have no conquest card because House Nervo has Uplift, so this one's unavailable. Leadership might be nice to play at some point, but I've taken heroic innovation, and I'm going to flip a trade token. So I'll start with this middle action, which is free, and that is gain an improved tech. And I'm going to take my starting tech. So that gains me 6 influence. I go from 44 to 50. And now I can double the cost and effect of not just development focus, but any of my preferred focuses, which would be production or prosperity. So that's pretty handy. And now I have the improved version of my starting tech, so this level 0 crisis is resolved. And then I can also remove one Voidborn Fleet Power from an adjacent sector. And I guess I might as well take one of these. That'd be a nice sector to have. I don't want to spread myself too thin, but maybe. And next I'll take this top action. So I need to spend 4 resources. So I think I'll spend 2 material, 1 science, and 1 credit. I said those in the opposite order than I did them. And first I can produce credits and science, and my yield on both of those is 1, so let's just go right back to 2 where they were. And then I can also gain a basic tech, and I'm going to grab cloning, I think. Well, I thought I was. Yeah, I'll stick with cloning. I was considering shields or even escape pods, but we'll do cloning. So first I gain 4 influence. I go from 50 to 54, and I can either gain a credit or activate 1 fleet power. And I'll take the fleet power. And then when my pure population goes up, every time that happens, I can either gain a credit or activate a fleet power, which is nice. I think that'll be especially helpful as I'm trying to push these tracks up. And then the last action down here, I need to spend 2 resources of any type. So let's spend, oh boy, let's do a food and a materials. So I'm down to 5 food, 2 materials, and I can remove 1 crisis card. You know, let's just make it the current one. Let's get rid of this level 3 crisis so we don't have to deal with it. So I don't want that sitting out there on my military track forever. And then gain an agenda. And I don't have a wealth agenda yet. I don't want the one that's on top. So let's take a look at these. We've got Quantum Leap and what is that? The Redemption Directive. And these are going to be pretty equivalent in terms of scoring. I'll take Redemption Directive for now. I might try and swap this one out later. So this would score me 4 influence if I have at least 2 reclaim tokens, which I do, and then I would score my glory. So that was all 3 of these actions. So I return the trade token to the galactic board. The crisis has already been resolved. This is the heroic version, so I'll put it back in the deck, in the discard section, of course. And now we draw the second crisis card for this cycle, starting with the alert card. It's a number 2 crisis, and it's a general crisis. Another step forward. This would have been good to have 3 minutes ago. Gain a basic tech while already having an improved tech. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is to skirmish, and I think I can probably skirmish. I'm not terribly worried about that, so we should be okay. And so I'm going to play development next, and I'm going to pair it with this agenda. And I'm going to start with this top action. I'm going to spend 1 material, so I go from 2 to 1, and I can build a guild, and I'm going to build a miners guild in this sector here. So my materials goes up 4 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my production is now at 5. Or my yield is, I'm level 8. Yield is 5. And I have 1 material. Then I'll take this bottom action, spend 1 science. So go from 2 to 1 to either increase a pure population or remove a corruption. And I'm going to remove this corruption. All right. And since this is development focus, I'm going to use robotics to repeat that action. So I'll spend 1 more science. I'm out of science now. And this time I'm going to increase the pure population. So I'll go from 4 to 5. There we go. And that increases my level on the materials. So it goes up to level 9. I have a yield of 6. And now I'll take the agenda action to build a guild and then produce that type of resource. So I'm going to do another miners guild right there. So that gives me another 5 levels. So we go from 9 to 10, 11, 12, 13, and that's it. It's maxed. So it's at 15, and then I produce materials, and I have 1 already. So I produce 15. That's an overproduction. So my materials are maxed out, and I gain 3 influence. I'm up to 57. So I think that was pretty solid. So I'm going to slot this agenda card. And now I need to resolve this crisis. I did not get any text. Do I want to skirmish? I mean, I have no corruption on my house mat, modifier of 1. So yeah, let's skirmish. The only place a Voidborn can skirmish is here. They lose their 1 fleet power to the sector defense, and I win. So that's resolved. So let's take a look at the next alert card. And it's another 3. And so the crisis is a general crisis. It's show of force. Increase the statecraft track or advance the statecraft track while already having 5 or more active fleet power. That is fortunate because I already have 6 active fleet power. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is to remove 2 guilds from a non-home sector, which I could accomplish if I had to, but I actually got super lucky on this because I think I can do it. So I'm going to play my special production focus, and I'm going to use a trade token as well. So I'll start with this middle action, pay 2 materials, so I'm down to 13, to advance my statecraft track. So I've done that. I have 6 active fleet power, and I advance my statecraft track, so this level 3 crisis is resolved. Super fortunate. And then I can produce food and energy. My energy production is 0, my energy yield is 0, and food is only going to get me 1, so I go up to 6 food from 5. And now I'm going to take the bottom action, so spend 1 material, so go down to 12 to advance the society track. So that's this one, and I can, oh wait, before I do that though, I'll just leave it like this so I don't forget. I didn't take these benefits on the statecraft track. I activate 1 fleet power, and I can deploy 1 fleet power. So let's deploy 1 to the home sector here, because I'd really like to take that fallen house. Okay, so now I was resolving this. Increase 1 pure population. Oh, which I did once already last turn, and I didn't take my cloning benefit, so I can either activate a fleet power or gain a credit. So I'll tell you what, for last time, we'll gain a credit, and now I'm increasing this pure population to 6. And I'll take the activate fleet power benefit this time. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 active fleet power. And now these levels, they can't go up. They're already maxed. Oh, and when I put down these these guilds, I didn't take my cybernetics benefit either. That doesn't matter though, because I overproduced anyway. I'm just missing my bonuses left and right here. So that was my second action. Now I'm going to, production is one of my preferred focuses. So with advanced robotics or improved robotics, I can double a preferred focus. I'm going to take that same action again. So I go from 12 to 11 materials, and I could advance the society track a second time. So we'll do that, and now I can remove a corruption, so we'll get rid of this one. So I can score that sector again. And finally, I'll take this top action, which doesn't have a cost. And first, I'm going to advance the economy track. So I gain a wealth agenda and a trade token. So let's take the trade token first. And what benefit do I want from that? Now let's take the 2 science because I don't have any science. So I'm up to 2, and now we gain a wealth agenda. So let's look at the next 2. All right, so we've got, what are these? Technological Singularity and Bleeding Edge. These are some of my favorites. And let's hold on to Technological Singularity. So if I can score that, I'll get 4 influence if I have at least 4 techs, and 5 influence for each pair of pure sectors. And now I also get to produce materials. So let's do that. I have 11, I produce 15, so I just go back to 15 and overproduce, and that's another 3 influence. So that gets me from 57 to 60. And the crisis is already resolved from this turn. So let's draw the... oh wait, before I draw, I should return this trade token to the Galactic board. Okay, now let's draw the next crisis card. Ooh, and it's another war card. All right, so we're going to have to resolve the crisis board and skirmish at +1 Voidborn fleet power, and if we successfully defend, add a Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector. So that's a lot going on. Set that over here as we think about what to do next. Well, I think I'm going to play my Uplift card. And I'm going to start with this top action, which costs 2 energy. I don't have 2 energy, but I've got plenty of materials, which I can use instead. So I'll spend 2 materials. And then I can spend up to 3 materials at a time to get an approach absorption or a salvo absorption. So I'm going to spend 6 more material to get 2 approach absorptions. So I go from 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So I have 2 approach absorb. And now I'm going to move this 1 fleet power into this fallen house sector. And there's 2 sector defense. I have 2 absorb. So I get past their sector defense, and that's a successful invasion. So let's take this fallen house card and the glory tokens. Let's score glory. So I've got 6, 7. So I go from 60 to 67. And then I gain a reclaim token on that sector. So let's draw one of those. And we get, we can either activate a fleet power or deploy a fleet power to that sector. And I guess we'll deploy. And then I gain one of these 2 basic techs, either carriers or central surveillance. And I'm going to take central surveillance. So let's grab this. And I've also got an extra tech slot now. We might as well just put central surveillance in that slot. So I gain 4 influence right away. So 67, 8, 9, 70, 71. And I can improve 1 glory token. So let's change one of these 3s to a 4. Like that. And then when I play politics focus, I can decrease a peer population to gain an agenda and or improve a glory token by 1. So that's okay. But I'm really hoping to get the improved version so I can have an additional agenda for scoring. But now I'm going to take my second action here on Uplift. So I spend 1 credit. I go from 3 to 2, and I can gain an agenda card. And I'm going to take another might agenda. I don't know if I'll slot it or not, but I'll definitely use the action. So we have Industrial Nourishments and Mining Consortium. And definitely Mining Consortium is going to be the one that I want to hold on to. And I might even slot that. So that's here in my hand as well. But that's it for Uplift. Oh, I could put this reclaim token over here. And now I've got to do something about this war card. So if we do a skirmish at +1 fleet power, and that'll be 1, 2, which would be fine here, but now this sector back here would be a problem. If the Voidborn invaded with 2, I would lose. Well, it'd be a tie, but then I would lose. And I just don't think I'm willing to lose that sector. So I'm going to go ahead and take a catastrophe token, which is not my favorite thing to do, but sometimes you got to do it. So that's just in place of resolving that crisis card. And now I can either remove a corruption or gain 5 resources. And I'll take the resources, and I think I'm going to just take 5 food. So I go from 6 to 11. And that's fine. So 1 more turn in this cycle, I believe. What have we done so far? Innovation, development, production, uplift. Yeah, so I've got 1 more card to play. And I'll just go ahead and put down the prosperity card, but I'm going to use heroic leadership. And let me take a quick peek here. Okay, and I'll pair it with this agenda, because you can pair any agenda card with heroic leadership. But I still need to draw an alert card now. So we've got number 2 alert. And I've drawn investing in people, an economic crisis. So before you advance the society track, choose to also spend 2 science or 2 credits. Otherwise, spend 4 energy as the immediate penalty. Ugh, that is frustratingly close to what I'm considering doing on this turn. That's gonna like take me slightly out of my way. But you know what? Let's spend a trade token on this heroic leadership while we're here, and we'll do all 3 actions. And so we'll start with this top action, rise, and you have to spend 4 resources. So I'll do materials. So I go from 7 down to 3, and then you can either score your glory or build a level of a safe haven. And I'm going to choose to build a safe haven. So let's put that right there. And for my next action, I have to spend 1 more resource. I'm going to do this bottom one. So spend another material. I go down to 2, and I can either remove a crisis card or remove a harbinger. And so I'm going to remove this harbinger here, I think. So that's pretty good value for 1 resource. And now I'll take the middle action, utilize, and the cost is I have to spend a glory token. So I'll spend this number 1 glory token. And I can remove a corruption, and I've only got 1, so let's get rid of it. And then I can take a action from a preferred focus. And so I'm going to take this action off production, which is one of my preferred focuses. Yep. So there is no cost. I advance the econ track and produce materials. Oh, you know what though? Pause. I've already paid for this. I've done the corruption, but this won't affect anything. I'm going to take this action before taking this action. That doesn't hurt anything. So I get to place a guild and then produce that guild type. Let me do that first. I don't know if this will be enough to help me, but I hope it is. So I'm going to put a farmer's guild there. So because of cybernetics, I gain 2 food. I go up to 13. My level goes from 2 to 8, and my yield is 5, and I now produce. So I go from 13, 14, 15, and overproduce. So I just overproduced food. And I gain 3 influence. 1, 2, 3. I'm up to 74. And now let me finish with this action. So I am copying this action, which has me advance my economics track and produce materials. So let's go ahead and produce the materials first. So I'm at 2, I produce 15, so that's another overproduction, and that was an overproduction of a second type. So I get another 3 influence, 1, 2, 3, and since it was 2 overproductions in 1 focus, I can build a level of a safe haven. So we do this, and then I get an immediate benefit. I have no corruption to remove. I don't really need the 3 resources. I almost always take the remove harbinger, but I think this time I'm actually going to take the deploy to fleet power. So I can send those anywhere where I have fleet power. So let's put one back here. And then the other one will either go here or the same sector. And yeah, we're going to go to the same sector. Okay, so that's just what I got from producing. Now I advance the economics track here. So to do that, I have to deactivate a fleet power. And I gain 1 trade token and produce a resource type. So let's take a trade token. And what do I want for that? Probably 2 science. So I go from 2 science to 4. And then I need to produce something. And so I can produce either 0 energy, 1 credit, 1 science, or I can overproduce my food or materials again. And I think I'll just overproduce one of those. It doesn't matter what it is because they're both at 15 already. So that's just another 3 influence. I go from 77 to 80. I'll take that. And that's it for those actions. So let's put this trade token back here. The heroic leadership card goes back to the discard pile for heroic cards. And I'm going to slot this agenda. So that replaces the redemption directive, because they're both wealth agendas. And now we got to do something with this crisis card. And I think I'm just going to pay the penalty. Instead of raising that economics track, I thought about raising instead the society track here. But I think that was the right move, was to stick with the economic track. So I don't have any energy, but I can use materials as energy. So I'll go from 15 down to 11, and that one's solved. That's not that big a deal. And one other thing I did on that turn, if I add up all my production yield, food is at 5, energy is 0, materials is at 15, so those two combined are 20. Then I've got 21, 22. I just solved this level 0 crisis of have 20 or more total combined yield. So it's nice to get that off the track. So I think that was 5 focus turns, right? Innovation, development, and production, uplift, and then leadership. So now we need to go to the evaluation phase for cycle 2. So that starts with resolving the crisis board, and we're going to skirmish. I have 0 corruption on my house mat, +1, plus we're at the end of cycle 2, so they're going to skirmish at 2. So there's 2 possible targets. If they skirmish here at 2, they'll lose 1 on the way in, and then I'll have the initiative and I win. Otherwise, they're going to come back here, and if they come in with 2, I have the initiative. So I fire first, they go down to 1, and they fire back. So I'm going to lose 1 fleet power, and now I have the initiative again, 3 to 1, so I fire, and that's it, I win. So I can live with that outcome. Now I need to resolve the economic portion, which is just 1 material and 1 energy. And I'm going to use 2 materials because we're not in the upkeep portion. So that's okay. Which now brings us to the upkeep portion. So let's figure this out. I've got 1 slotted trade token. So I've got 2, 4, 6 from agendas, and then 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 15 food, so that just goes down to 5, and all my upkeep is covered. Now we check for safe havens, and I do have 1 pure sector with 6 population and 3 guilds, so I can build a level of a safe haven. So that goes over here now. And then we check the Galactic Event. I don't qualify for this top one because I played my preferred focus cards, but I do have no corruption, so I achieved the bottom one, so that gives me 8 influence. I guess I'll take it. So I go from 80 to 88. Better than nothing. So now I've got my 4 pure agendas. Let's score them all. So first, 3 influence for each sector with no empty guild slots. Pure sector. 1, 2, 3 of those. 3 times 3 is 9. So I go from 88 to 97. And then pure sectors with 3 or more installations. And I score that twice for a total of 8 each. And I've still just got this 1. I thought I'd be further along there. So 8 influence. So I go from 97 to 105. And then each of my pure civilization tracks, whatever tier it's in, multiply it by 2. So this one is at tier 0. Tier 1, so that's worth 2 points. And tier 3, that's worth 6 points. So 8 points total. So that gets me from 105 to 113. This one gives me 7 influence if I have at least 1 corrupted agenda slot, and I don't. And then 4 influence for each pure sector with 3 or more guilds. And I've got 2 of those, so that's 8 influence. So from 113 to 121, I get 7 influence if I have at least 8 science resources, but I've only got 4. And then this one I've already scored. So then I get 4 influence if I have at least 4 techs, and I do. I have 4 techs. So from 121 to 125. And then 5 influence for each pair of pure sectors. And I've got 4 pure sectors, so that's 10 influence. That gets me to 135 at the end of cycle 2. That's pretty good, I think. So once more now, I will go through the preparation phase and clean everything up. So I'll remove a trade token. I'll refresh all these improved techs. I'll grab the next Galactic Event. I'll refresh the heroic focus cards, bring these focus cards back into my hand, and then prepare my new alert card deck. So stick around and I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. So the 3 heroic focus cards I've got for cycle 3 are development, politics, and temptation. And then I need to reveal the cycle 3 event. Knowledge is power, so it's going to be 5 turns in this cycle again. So 3 of those in a row. So what do we need to do here? First, we add a bounty token and a sector defense to the Voidborn sector that's adjacent with the highest population. So that's going to be this paradise sector here. So sector defense and a bounty token. Then all players who have at least 1 improved technology, which I do, I have improved robotics, take a corruption to a track if possible. Yuck, I will put that on my statecraft track. I don't love that. And then players with 1 or more trade tokens, which I do have, gain 3 science. Otherwise, you can spend a science to gain a trade token. I think I rather have it that way, I guess, but I gain 3 science, so I go from 4 to 7. And then at the end of the cycle, for every 2 resources remaining in our stockpile, we get 1 influence, or we gain 2 influence for each pure installation. So here we go. Let's reveal the first alert card. And we're starting off with a bang. It's a 3. So we have a General Crisis, Whispers in the Dark. When you gain an agenda, select from a corrupted offer. Otherwise, you can corrupt 2 offers, it looks like. Well, there is one here. Okay, yeah, really. I sat here for a minute, really burned my brain, and I think I can figure this one out. So I'm going to play Progress, and I'll pair it with this agenda card. And I'll start with the agenda action of raising my lowest track, which is Society. So that goes up, and then it's the skip reward, so I go up again, and I can increase a pure population. So let's do this one from 2 to 3, which makes, well, that can't go up anymore, and that can't go, oh, this one can go up again. 8 to 9. Level 9, yield of 6, and then credits goes from level 2 to level 3. The yield stays 1. And I have cloning, and I raised a pure population. So let's take a credit. I go from 2 to 3. Okay, and I can also remove a corruption. So let's remove this one. All right, so I think that was well worth it. And now I can either build a science guild or produce science. I think I'll build the guild. So that goes back here, and that'll raise my science level by 2. So it goes from 2 to 4, and my yield goes up to 3. And because of cybernetics, I gain 2 science, so I go from 7 to 9. And then I'll spend 2 science from 9 back down to 7 to gain a tech. And I'm going to gain improved central surveillance. I have more than enough improved techs unlocked. I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've only got 1. So this is my second. So I gain 6 influence. So from 135 to 141. And the immediate benefit is I can spend 2 energy to gain an agenda. So we'll do that. I don't have the energy, but I have materials. So let's go from 9 down to 7 using Nervo's ability. And I can gain an agenda, and I will gain from this corrupted offer to take care of this crisis. And I'll draw from these 2. So we have Commercial Syndicate and Interplanetary Colonization. Boy, those are both good choices, and they're both really close. I think I'm going to take this one, though. I'll take Interplanetary Colonization. It has the potential to net me 1 more point in total if I were to max out both of them, but also I think it'll be easier to raise this one. Boy, it was really close. It was a close call, but I'll take that one. So I got that as this bonus. And so this goes here, and the effect is when I play Politics Focus, I can still decrease a pure population to gain an agenda and improve a glory token, but I can also have 1 additional agenda in play. And so I've already got a support and a might and a wealth, so this will be the dominance because they still can't match, but I can have 4 in play, which is going to be huge. And I need to take this corruption now. Where is this going to go? That's a good question. Let me think about that. Let's put it here on the statecraft track. And then I just took an agenda from a corrupted offer, so I solved this level 3 crisis. So we can get that the heck out of here. And I think that's it. So I took my agenda action and then these 2 actions. So that's it. The crisis card was solved. So I can slot this if I want to. And I think, no, I'm actually going to return it because my science is actually going up. So I think I'll be able to achieve scoring the one that I have. So let's take a look at the next alert card. Oh, and it's a 3 again. So we've got General Crisis, Tainted Knowledge. After you gain an improved technology, choose to also discard a glory token with a value of 3 or more. Otherwise, skirmish with 2 approach absorption for the Voidborn. Okay. And man, I really messed up. I wish I had put this on this track. Everything would have been better. I put the corruption on the wrong track, but now I'm stuck. So I'm going to play Innovation. I'm going to pair it with this agenda. And I'm going to start with this middle action. So I'm going to invent. It costs 2 science, so I go down to 5 science, and I am taking improved cloning. So I'll start off by gaining 6 influence, so from 141 to 147. And now I could advance my lowest track and then advance my lowest track again. So this is my lowest track. It advances. I don't get the bonus, but I did advance a track while that track is already corrupted. So this old crisis card goes away at least. And now I can advance my lowest track again. And these two are tied now. Whoopsie. So I'm going to take the society one and advance it. And I can gain a tech. So before I gain that tech, let's slot this one. So I still have my bonus for when I raise a peer population. I can gain either a credit or activate a fleet power, but then I can also ignore the cost of entering tiers 3 and 4 on my civilization track. So I no longer need to deactivate fleet power there, which is really huge. So now let's gain this bonus of gaining another tech. Oh, but I gained an improved tech, so I can also discard a glory token value 3 or higher. So I'll get rid of this number 3 glory token, which I'm not super happy about. That was kind of the whole purpose of playing Innovation, was to take care of this number 3 crisis card. And I really want improved cybernetics, but I'm kind of scared of getting a war card because there's a couple more out there. So I'm going to grab shields. So that's going to get me 4 influence. So if I go from 147 to 151, and then I can deploy a Corvette to my home sector. Sure, I guess, why not? And then as long as I've got a Corvette in combat, I have 1 salvo absorption, so that may prove useful. Okay, I've been thinking a long time here. I'm going to take this bottom action. So I'm spending 1 food and 2 material, using a material in place of energy, and I can gain an agenda. And I'm going to grab a wealth agenda, and we'll just look at the next couple of them. Self-sustaining campaign and intellectual supremacy. And we're going to keep intellectual supremacy. I think that'll be an upgrade. So we've taken this action, and then I'm going to just skip that. I'm not actually going to invade anywhere. I don't think that's going to help me. But I am going to slot the agenda, and because of central surveillance being improved, I can have an additional agenda. So I'm just going to put it here. So I've got a dominance, a support, a might, and a wealth. So they're all different, but I've got 1 additional. So that's awesome. And then I've already taken care of the crisis card. So let's look at the next alert card. Number 2 alert. All right, we've got a military crisis. It's Purging Storm. Invade from 2 or more different pure sectors. Otherwise, deactivate 2 fleet power. Yuck. Well, I'm not going to do that. I know I'm not invading. So yeah, forget that. I'm going to play development, and I'm going to pair it with this agenda. And I know heroic development's out there, but I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to stick with this development. So first I'm going to spend 1 science to take this bottom action. So science goes from 5 to 4, and I'm going to remove a corruption. I would have been so much better off if I had put it on the other track, but oh well. And then I'll take this top action for 1 material, and I'm going to add a sector defense up here. And then this is development focus. So using robotics, I'm going to repeat that same action. So I'm going to spend 1 more material. I go down to 3 to build another sector defense. And then I'm going to totally change my mind on that. Give me those back. And we'll just set them here. Let me take that 2 material back. I'm going to do that a different way. Instead of spending material, I'm going to take this action and then repeat this action. So in that sector, I'm going to recall a fleet power to then build an installation and a guild. So sector defense, and let's put a guild in there. And let's do a farmer's guild. So that gives me 2 food because of cybernetics. So I go up to 6 and then repeat that power. So recall another fleet power and build a sector defense. And I'm going to pass on the guild portion. You don't have to take every benefit, so I'm going to pass on that part. And now I'm going to take this agenda action so I can build a guild and then produce that resource type. So I'm going to build a scientist guild in this sector. And because of cybernetics, I get 2 science, and the level goes up by 2, 5, 6, and then I produce science. So my yield is now 4, so this goes up to 10. Oh, and also when I built that Farmers Guild, my level's got to go up a couple times on that as well. Okay, and that's it for development. So I'm going to take this agenda and slot it. I'll replace technological singularity. I think I'll score better for this. And then, let's take that away. As for this crisis card, I'm going to take the immediate penalty. I'm going to pay or deactivate 2 fleet power. I think that's fine. I don't care. I don't want to keep this ongoing because that was never going to happen. Oh man, I'm doing a lot of thinking this cycle. So that's 3. That was the first 3. I've got 2 more focus cards to play. So let's get the next crisis card. And the alert. Oh, it's a level 1. I didn't know I had one of those left. Okay, that's pleasant. So the crisis card is a military crisis. It is compromised trade lines. After you spend a trade token, choose to also add a void-born fleet power to every open rift. Well, there's no rifts on this map, so that's going to be tough. So the immediate penalty is to skirmish, and if you successfully defend, you gain a bounty token. That's pretty doable, I think. So we can grab that. I'm going to play my special production focus, and I'm going to use a trade token to take all 3 actions. This is going to be awesome. So I'll start with this bottom action, spend 1 material, so I go from 5 to 4 to advance the society track. So this goes up. I have improved cloning, so I don't need to deactivate any fleet power, and I can raise a pure population twice. And let's do this one, go from 3 to 5. Oh, that's going to activate 1,000 things. So let's see, this farm dial goes up 2, so that is maxed. Materials can't go up anymore. The credit one goes up 2, and because I raise population twice, I can gain a credit or activate a fleet power twice. I'm going to gain 2 credits. I'm going to go from 3 to 5. And now I'll take this middle action, so that costs 2 materials. I go from 4 to 2. And I advance the statecraft track, so I get to remove a corruption, but I don't have any. And then I produce food and energy. So food, I'm at 6, I produce 15, so that overproduces. And then I have no energy production, so I ignore that. But the overproduction for food gets me 3 influence, so I'm at 154. And now I'm going to repeat this action because production is a preferred focus, so I'm using robotics. Or improved robotics. So 2 more materials to advance the statecraft track again, and I gain a tech. And I'm going to take improved cybernetics. So that gets me 6 influence. So I go from 154 to 160. And then I can build a guild or raise a pure population. So I guess I'm going to do population since I have no more space for guilds. So I'll make this 5 go to a 6. Which makes all those go up again, but food and materials are maxed. Credit goes up 1, and because of improved cloning, population went up, so I'm going to take another credit. And then improved cybernetics says, when you build a guild, you gain 2 resources matching that guild, but also when you increase a pure population, like I just did, for each guild in that sector, you may gain 2 matching resources for that guild. So I can gain 2 materials now. 2 food, but that's already maxed. And that's not production, that was just gaining food, so I didn't overproduce it. And then 2 credits. Wow, this is getting wild. And I still have an action. I did this, and I did this twice using robotics, and I used a trade token, so I can still do this. So that one doesn't even cost anything, so I increase this track. I don't have to deactivate any fleet power. I get 15 influence, so from 160 to 175. And I can produce materials. I have 2, I produce 15, so that overproduces. So that gives me another 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's my second overproduction. This focus, so I can build 1 level of a safe haven. All right, that was quite the turn. So now I return the trade token, and I can't, even though I spent a trade token, which is what it wanted me to do, I can't add a Voidborn fleet power to every rift, so I'm going to have to skirmish. I have no corruption on my house mat, so I'm just skirmishing at 1. And at either of the valid locations, the Voidborn are going to lose on approach. So this is solved, then I gain a bounty token for defending. So let's see what we get here. Either 1 science or 1 influence. And at this point, I'm taking the influence. So I'm at 179 now. But first I've got to draw another alert card. And I've got, a war card, okay? So we're in cycle 3, so at the end of this round, if we do war, when we resolve the skirmish, the Voidborn have 5 additional initiative. Oof. Okay. I think we'll be okay, though. I think we'll be okay. So let's make this turn count. I'm going to play Reinforcement. So I'll start by taking this top action. I have to deactivate a fleet power to pay for it, and then I can advance 1 track and build a sector defense. So let's start with the sector defense. That's going to go up here. And advance 1 track. That's going to be the statecraft track. And now I get 6 influence for each improved tech that I have. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 24 influence. That's pretty big. So 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 93, 203. Cool. Pretty high scoring game for me so far. And then I don't think I want to take either of these actions, so I'm just going to pass and resolve this war card. So I have no corruption here, so I'm only skirmishing at 1. So no matter where the Voidborn skirmish, they're going to lose on approach, and so I never have to worry about that initiative being high in the salvo. But I suppose they would skirmish here if they had the choice, just because the population is higher. So for defending, I need to add 2 Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector. So I guess we're just going to beef up that Paradise sector. That's fine. And then I need to resolve the economic track, but that's actually empty. That's pretty amazing. Now let's just double check. Should have been 5 turns this cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was it. So we go to the final evaluation phase, cycle 3. And that starts with resolving the crisis board again, but now with +1 Voidborn fleet power. So we're going to skirmish at 2. So if they go to that back sector, they're going to still get destroyed on approach. So they're going to come here. 1 gets destroyed. 1 remains, then I have the initiative and fire, so I still win that skirmish. And then for the economic track, I still don't have anything I need to pay, so that's really good. Now let's look at upkeep, because this one's going to be big. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 from my 5 agendas, plus 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 upkeep. I don't know if I've ever had that much before. So I've got 15 food, so that goes to 0. And then 2 materials. I had 15 materials, so I go to 13. So I did satisfy upkeep, and now I do have 2 pure sectors with 6 population and 3 guilds, so I can build up to 2 levels of safe haven, but there's only 1 left. So I'll build this 1 level of safe haven and take a harbinger off the map. And now we check the Galactic Event. So I can either get 1 influence for every 2 resources I have left over, or 2 influence for every pure installation. So how many installations do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that would be, and they're all pure. That would be 16 influence. And then how many resources do I have? 0, 0, 13, 8, and 10. So that's going to be, 21, 31 divided by 2 is 15. You got to round down. Oh, so I'm actually going to get 1 more influence for the installations. I didn't think that'd be the case. If I did think it was the case, I would have spent this 1 energy to build another installation because I had the room for it. I thought, because I had 15 food and 15 materials, I was like, oh, for sure it'll be this one. But no, I miscalculated. I should have thought about paying all that upkeep. So, okay, 16 influence for me. Still not bad. So I go from 203 to 209 to 19. And now we score all 5 of these pure agendas. So we'll start with my starting agenda. 3 influence for every sector that has no more empty guild slots. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 12 influence. 1, 2, 10. That's not true. That's 10. Okay. And then for every pure sector with at least 3 installations, I get 2 influence. So I've got 2 of those. And then the same goal over here for 6. So it's really 2 times 8 is 16. Goes up to 7. Okay. And then 2 times whatever tier each of my pure tracks is in. So tier 4 times 2 is 8, and 8, and then another 6. So that's going to be 22. All right. I still don't have a corrupted agenda slot, so no points there, but 4 influence for every pure sector with at least 3 guilds. And I've got 1, 2, 3 of those, so 3 times 4 is 12. Let's do 12. And then 7 influence if I have at least 8 science, and I ended with 10 science. So another 7. And if I have at least 4 pure sectors, which I do, that's 4 influence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 2 influence for each basic technology. I've got 1 of those. 1, 2. And 3 influence for each improved tech. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 12 influence. 1, 2, 12. Okay. And then I've got this last one over here. If I have at least 10 pure population, I get 4. I've got, 12 right there. So that goes up 4. And then I get, yeah, nice. I did. I maxed this one out. 6 influence for each pure track that's in tier 3 or 4, which all 3 of these are 3, 4, and 4. So that's another 18. That goes down to 8, and that goes up. So my final score for this this playthrough is 328. That is not bad. But the question is, will it be enough? So the Voidborn, I played on hard. They start on 140. There are no rifts. I completed both the safe havens. I do have a catastrophe, so that's going to be 20 influence. It's up to 160. There's 1, 2 harbingers still left, so that's another 10 each. 10, 20, it's 180. No consumed techs, no crises still on the board, no fallen houses, so 2 influence for each corruption anywhere in the game. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, so that's 12 influence. 1, 2, 10. And then 1 influence for the population of all the Voidborn sectors. So we got 4 and 6 here, that's 10. 4, 4, 2, that's another 10. 5 and 3 is 8, so 28. So let's do 8. And then 20. So the Voidborn final score is 220. So again, the final score is House Nervo 328, Voidborn 220. So victory on hard by 108. That was an awesome game. I definitely made some foolish mistakes, some blunders along the way. I could have had a higher score. There were a few things I failed to optimize, but overall I think I did pretty well. Hopefully I didn't make any terrible rules errors that I'm going to see in the edit and make me feel bad about this. But if you happen to see anything like that, definitely leave a comment. I'd rather know about it and make sure that other people know about it too. But yeah, obviously a lot going on in this game, and sometimes I just miss something. It happens. But yeah, that was super fun for me. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you haven't seen me saying it in the comments recently, my goal is to get through the rest of these solo Voidfall maps in the compendium by the end of this calendar year, 2024. I mean, I've played them all several times, but to get through them, filming them and have them posted by the end of this year. So I've got a couple more to go, but they should be coming out soon. So if you want to see that sort of content, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And if you like this, leave a like and leave some comments so that I know that this is the type of content that you want, so I know what to keep making. Because frankly, I play a ton of games and it's just a matter of picking which ones to set up all the recording equipment for. So if people are feeling one game over another, then, that's what I'll try and record. I'll do my best. And if you've got any requests for any particular houses or starting techs for those last 2 playthroughs, let me know. Can't promise I'll get to all requests, but I'll do my best to try and accommodate those if I see them. But that's going to be it for this video. So I had an awesome time. I hope you enjoyed it too. I really do appreciate you putting in the time to watch it. I hope it's a good time. And I'm looking forward to doing it again. So when that happens, I will see you there. Have an awesome week. Thanks for watching Table for One.